All elements in the Revit software belong to families. Family is one of the most fundamental and basic building blocks in the software. When you create your model, when you interact with views, when you add annotation or configure your project settings, in all cases you're interacting with a family. Therefore, in this lesson, we're going to define the term family as it applies to the Revit software. So let's start with a basic definition. I pulled this from the help file. Families are classes of elements that belong to a category. Family groups elements with a common set of parameters or properties, identical use, and a similar representation. Different elements in a family may have different values for some or all of the properties, but the set of properties, their names, and their meaning must all be the same. That's from the help file, but that's a pretty good working definition of the word family. We're going to start with that, and now we're going to talk about how that definition or how the concept of family fits into the broader hierarchy of the software. So at the top of that hierarchy, we have categories. Categories are also built into the software. They're fixed and pre-built. You and I can't actually change the categories in any way or add categories. They include things like walls or doors or roofs or stairs or pipes or ducts if we were talking about MEP, or beams and columns if we were talking about structure. So there's a broad list of categories that we have to choose from. Each category will have families associated with it. So that definition that we just discussed sort of fits in here next. So if you remember, the first part of the definition was that a family was a class of elements in a category. So it comes next on the hierarchy. But even at that level, a family is still a pretty broad thing. It defines overall characteristics, overall behaviors, but there may be several more specific behaviors or characteristics of each family. We refer to those as types. So each variation of a family that we want to save and use over again, we save that as a type. And then finally, the actual objects in the model are the instances. So we could work this hierarchy going down the chain, or we could actually work it backwards. So we could say that an instance belongs to a type. That type, in turn, belongs to a family, and the family is part of a broader category. So here's a quick example. The category would be doors. The family comes next. That's single flush in this case. And then finally, 36 by 84 would be the name of the type. We don't see the instance listed here because the instance is the actual thing you would click on in the software itself. So that gives us a working definition of the term family and how it fits into the overall hierarchy of the software: category, family, type, and instance. But as you're no doubt aware, there are actually several kinds of families. And in our next movie, we're going to look at the three overall kinds of families.